All right, so get this. We're diving into some research today, and it's really going to make you think differently about how we teach AI to think.
Yeah.
Like, imagine AI that's not just processing language like ChatGPT, which is impressive in itself,
Oh, yeah.
but can also understand like images, charts, pretty much anything visual you can throw at it. We're talking about multimodal large language models.
Or MLLMs for short.
Exactly, MLLMs. It's basically like ChatGPT, but with eyes, you know?
Yeah, it's really remarkable how these models can handle so many different types of information.
Yeah, it's a huge leap from just text.
Huge leap.
Right. But here's the thing.
Okay.
There's a catch. Turns out, even the most cutting-edge MLLMs have this weird quirk.
Oh.
They're not very good at explaining their reasoning. They can get the right answer, but when you ask them, hey, show your work,
Right.
their performance actually tanks.
Huh. It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
Like someone who can solve this really complicated equation, but then they can't explain the steps they took.
Right, exactly.
And this whole explainability gap is a major hurdle in building AI that we can actually trust.
Exactly. That's a great point. Okay, so we've got the problem. Now hold on tight, because the solution is surprisingly simple.
Oh, okay.
We teach AI using our own preferences.
Our preferences. So instead of just showing the MLLM the right answer,
Right.
we give it two possible answers and we say, hey, this one's better.
Exactly. We're basically guiding the AI's reasoning by showing it what a good response looks like.
Interesting.
Even if both answers are, technically correct.
Yeah, so it's not just about being right or wrong. It's about what we as humans value in a good answer.
That's it. And this research really dives deep into how powerful that can be. And they even tested it using some pretty intense visual challenges.
Okay, like what?
Well, one test they use is called MathVista.
MathVista.
It's a set of visual math problems, and they found that a lot of these open source MLLMs, when they're asked to use what's it called, chain of thought reasoning.
Chain of thought.
Yeah.
Or COTI.
COTI, right? They actually do worse.
Oh, wow. So you're saying that even when they try to explain their thinking step by step,
Right.
they mess up more.
That's what they found.
It's like they get flustered when they have to show their work.
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting.
And the researchers included this really cool visual in their paper, Figure 1. It shows all these different MLLMs as bubbles.
Good.
The size of the bubble, it represents the size of the model. And when these models tried to use COTI, most of the bubbles, even the big ones, representing those massive MLLMs, they sank, which means their performance dropped.
So bigger doesn't necessarily mean better when it comes to explaining yourself.
That's the thing. It's a really important point. But how do we fix this? Well, this is where our preferences come in.
Okay, I'm listening.
They call this new approach preference optimization, or PO. PO, yeah. And it's a pretty big change from how we usually train AI.
Right, because traditionally we've used what's called supervised fine-tuning, or SFT.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you give the model this massive textbook, and you ask it to predict what comes next on each page.
Yeah.
So it learns patterns, produces answers,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really learn to think critically or deeply,
Right, and that's where PO comes in.
Right.
With PO, we're not just showing the AI the right answer, we're giving it a taste of human judgment.
Ooh, I like that. A taste of human judgment.
We're saying, hey, AI, out of these two answers, this is the one we like better.
I see. So we're kind of training its taste buds.
Exactly.
Interesting. And how much data did they use for this?
Oh, they went all out. They created this massive data set with, get this, 3 million preference comparisons.
3 million.
3 million for visual reasoning tasks.
Wow, that's commitment.
It is. It's serious dedication to teaching AI our tastes.
It is.
Right.
So how did they create this massive data set? Like, what kind of information did they use?
Well, they use two pretty clever methods.
All right.
The first one is called dropout next token prediction.
Dropout next token prediction. Okay, I'm already lost.
It's actually simpler than it sounds. Basically, they take a good answer from an MLLM,
Okay.
they chop it in half, and then they ask the model to finish it without looking at the image.
So they're making it guess the rest.
Exactly. It's like saying, okay, you aced the first half of the test. Now let's see how you do on the second half without your notes.
Ah, clever.
Right. But what about tasks where there's a clear right and wrong answer, like math problems?
Yeah, good point.
Well, for those, they used a method called the correctness-based pipeline.
Okay, that sounds more straightforward.
It is. They have the MLLM generate a bunch of answers.
Okay.
Some right, some wrong. And then they make pairs by comparing the correct ones to the incorrect ones.
Got it.
Simple, but it works.
And they didn't just use math problems.
Oh, yeah. No, they used all sorts of stuff for this data set.
Okay.
General knowledge, science facts, charts,
Okay.
even things like recognizing text in images and understanding documents.
Wow, this data set really covers a lot of ground.
It does. It spans the whole world of visual information. And in figure 2 of the paper, they show some examples of these preference pairs.
Cool.
Like one example asks the model to describe pizza toppings.
Pizza toppings.
Pizza toppings, yeah. And the chosen answer is really detailed and accurate,
Okay.
but the rejected one is vague. It misses important details.
I see. So the preferences are really capturing those subtle things that make a good answer, like beyond just being factually right or wrong.
Exactly. It's about being clear, comprehensive, making sense to us humans.
Makes sense. So now we have this huge data set of preferences.
Yeah.
What do they do with it? How do they actually use it to train an MLLM?
Well, that's where mixed preference optimization comes in.
Mixed preference optimization.
MPO.
MPO. Okay, this sounds like it's going to get a bit technical.
Oh, it does, but I think we can handle it.
All right, ready. Let's unpack this MPO thing.
Okay, so MPO is like this clever blend of the classic SFT method and this new PO approach.
Okay.
It's like combining the best of both worlds. What we know WU is right.
With what we prefer to see in an answer.
I'm intrigued. Walk me through how this MPO training works.
So to make sure the MLLM learns effectively from this mixed approach, they use 3 different loss functions during training.
Functions.
Yeah, these functions basically measure how well the model is doing and guide its learning process.
Okay, so break down these loss functions for me. What are they and how do they work together?
All right, so the first loss function is called the preference loss, or DPO.
DPO.
DPO, yep. And this function, it teaches the MLLM to rank answers
Okay.
based on which ones were, marked as preferred in the data set.
So it's learning to align with human preferences, like a student trying to figure out what the teacher wants to see on a test.
That's a good analogy.
Right.
Yeah. Then there's the quality loss,
Okay.
or BCO, and this one focuses on the quality of an answer on its own, not just in comparison to others.
I see.
So it's helping the model develop its own sense of what makes a good answer, beyond just copying preferences,
So it's adding like a layer of independent judgment. It's not just blindly following the crowd.
Right. And then finally, we have the generation loss, which is our old friend SFT.
Ah, SFT is back.
But now it's working together with the preference information.
Okay.
So the MLLM is not just predicting the next word. It's trying to generate answers that are both coherent and match up with what humans prefer.
So SFT got a serious upgrade.
Yeah, it's like SFT 2.0.
Right. Now informed by this whole world of human judgment.
Exactly.
So they're using all 3 of these loss functions together.
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
And it's interesting. They actually experimented with like 10 different algorithms.
Okay.
But this MPO mix, the one with all 3 loss functions,
Yeah.
it worked the best.
It's like they had their own little AI Olympics.
Right.
And MPO took home the gold.
Exactly.
But remember, the goal here is to get these MLLMs to not just answer correctly, but to actually explain their reasoning, right? Like clearly.
Absolutely. That's the key.
Yeah.
So to encourage that, they used chain of thought prompts in the training.
Chain of thought prompts, okay.
Yeah. These prompts basically tell the model to give its logic step by step, like we do when we're solving a problem.
So they're forcing the AI to think out loud.
Yeah, to show its work.
I like that.
And they didn't stop there.
Oh.
They actually went further and tailored these COTI prompts to the specific type of task.
So different prompts for different tasks. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, for questions that need some background knowledge, like, scientific concepts,
Okay.
they use prompts that encourage the model to first explain the background information
I see.
before jumping into the reasoning steps.
So it's like saying, okay, before you answer this question about black holes,
Yeah,
remind me what a black hole actually is.
exactly.
It keeps things grounded, make sure the model's not just, throwing around jargon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for tasks with images or charts or any kind of visual data, they used prompts that told the model to first describe what it sees in the image
Oh, that's interesting.
before drawing any conclusions.
So it's like, okay, tell me what you see in this chart.
Exactly.
What patterns do you notice? What stands out to you?
Yeah, it forces the model to really connect its reasoning to what's actually in the visual.
It's a good way to keep it honest.
Right. And they even use this technique called grounded coding,
Grounded Cody.
where the model had to link specific words in its answer to parts of the image,
Oh, wow.
like an AI version of show your work.
Yeah.
But instead of pointing to equations, it's highlighting parts of the image.
Yeah, that's really cool. It makes the reasoning process so much clearer.
It does. So now, after all this training with MPO and these fancy COT prompts, the big question is, did it work?
Give me the good news. Did all this effort pay off?
The results are pretty impressive.
Okay, I'm ready. How much better did it actually perform?
Well, on that Math Vista test we talked about, remember?
Yeah.
Where other models struggled with COT. Yeah. The MPO model beat the original model by 8.7 points.
Wait, are you serious? By just teaching this AI what humans prefer, it jumped almost a whole letter grade in this complex visual math test.
That's right.
That's incredible. What about other tasks?
Well, on Math Vision, which is a particularly challenging math problem set, this model actually set a new record for open source models.
Wow, a new record. That's a clear sign that MPO is doing something right.
Yeah, it's not just a one-trick pony. It seems to be improving performance across the board.
That's amazing. So it aced the math tests. What else?
Well, not only did it excel at these visual reasoning tasks, but it also got better at understanding general knowledge.
Okay.
And, remarkably, it even showed a reduction in AI hallucinations.
Hallucination. You mean like where the model makes stuff up?
Exactly.
So it's like teaching the AI to think more like a human also makes it more honest and reliable.
It seems that way.
That's fascinating. And there's more, right?
There is. The model even got better at tasks that only involve text, even though it was mostly trained on visual data.
So it's like learning to analyze images made it a better reader and writer, too.
That's what the results suggest.
That's mind-boggling. It's like some kind of transfer of learning happening, a more general improvement and understanding.
It's like learning to appreciate good music makes you a better chef. There's a connection there.
Okay, that's a good one.
A refinement of taste that goes beyond just one specific area.
Yeah, I like that. So what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway from all this research on MPO and the power of preferences?
Well, the takeaway is that our preferences, they're incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
They can shape how AI learns to think and reason at a very basic level. This MPO method, combining preference optimization with these, cleverly crafted COT prompts.
Yeah.
It seems like a really effective way to create AI that's not just intelligent, but also understandable to us humans.
It's like we're finally teaching AI to speak our language, not just literally, but, in terms of how it thinks. This opens up so many possibilities for how we interact with AI and what we can do together.
Imagine a world where AI can not only follow your instructions, but also explain its decisions in a way that you understand.
Yeah.
Imagine AI assistants that can learn your individual preferences.
Wow.
From your taste in music to your financial goals, even your sense of humor.
That's like having an AI that can read your mind.
It's getting close.
Right. But that also raises some big questions, right?
It does.
If AI can get this good at understanding us, what does it mean for the future of human-AI interaction?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is.
It leads us to some really profound considerations about intelligence itself.
Like what?
Well, is this ability to explain your thought process, is that a fundamental part of intelligence? Or is it something that can be, learned and improved?
Yeah, it makes you think, right? Like, we assume that if someone can explain something well,
right,
they must really get it. But then you have these brilliant minds who come up with groundbreaking ideas.
Yeah, but they struggle to explain them.
Exactly. This research really challenges how we think about intelligence, both in humans and AI. It makes us ask, what does it actually mean to be intelligent?
And speaking of intelligence, this research also brings up some interesting points about data in AI training, right?
Yes, it does.
Traditionally, we've focused on just feeding AI tons and tons of data.
Right. More data equals smarter AI.
Exactly.
But this research suggests that the type of data might actually be even more important than the amount of data.
So it's not just about quantity, it's about quality.
Exactly. The idea that carefully chosen data, like this data set of 3 million preference comparisons, can have such a huge impact on how well AI performs. Right. It's fascinating. It's not just about throwing more data at the problem. It's about feeding the AI the right kind of data.
It's like the difference between cramming for a test and actually understanding the material.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. You might get a good grade by cramming, but you're not really learning or thinking critically. And that's what we're aiming for with AI, right?
Yeah.
We're not just trying to build AI that can pass tests. We want AI that can learn and adapt and reason.
And think for itself.
Yeah, in a way that matches up with human values and goals.
Okay, so we're giving AI this crash course in human thinking by showing it what we prefer. But how does that actually translate into better performance?
That's a great question.
What's happening inside the MLLM's brain, so to speak?
Yeah, it's a bit of a black box, like with a lot of deep learning stuff.
Okay.
But we can guess that the MLLM is basically building a model of human preferences.
Right.
As it sees more and more examples of what we like,
Mm-hmm.
it starts to internalize those preferences
Okay.
and use them when it makes decisions.
So it's almost like the MLLM is developing its own sense of taste
I like that.
and aesthetic judgment. Like it's learning what good reasoning looks like to a human.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And that sense of taste can then guide the MLLM when it comes up with its own answers and explanations.
Okay, that makes sense. But it also makes me wonder,
What's that?
what if our preferences are messed up?
Oh, that's a good point.
Humans don't always make the best choices.
We don't. That's true.
Oh.
It's an ongoing discussion in AI. You know,
Yeah.
how do we make sure that AI is learning from the good parts of human intelligence
Right.
while avoiding our biases and limitations?
It's a tricky balance, right? We want AI to be more human-like,
Yeah,
but we don't want it to pick up all our bad habits.
exactly. One way to approach this is to be really careful about the data we use for training.
Okay.
We need to choose data sets that represent a variety of human perspectives and values.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just reinforcing biases
Right.
or limiting the AI's potential.
So it's not just about feeding AI any preferences.
Right.
It's about giving it a balanced and nuanced view, you know?
Exactly. Like a healthy diet of preferences.
Yeah, I like that, representing all the different ways humans think.
And we also have to be aware of our own biases when we create these preference data sets.
That's a good point.
You know, we need to constantly question our assumptions
Right.
and make sure we're choosing the best answers based on objective reasons, not just our own opinions.
So this research isn't just about making AI smarter.
No, it's not.
It's about making us more aware of our own thinking
Yeah.
and how it affects the development of this technology.
Exactly. It's this fascinating interplay between human intelligence and artificial intelligence.
It really is. So we've talked a lot about how this research is changing AI and what it means for the future of intelligence.
We have.
But let's get practical for a second. How might this technology actually impact our everyday lives?
Good point.
Okay.
Okay, imagine you're shopping for a new couch online.
Okay, I'm with you.
Instead of scrolling through endless pages of options,
Right, which is a nightmare.
you can just tell your AI assistant, I want a couch that's comfy, stylish, and fits my budget.
Okay.
And then the AI could analyze your preferences based on your past purchases, your browsing history, maybe even your social media
Wow.
to find the perfect couch for you.
So it's like having a personal shopper who knows your taste better than you do.
Exactly. And this could apply to so many things.
Like what?
Choosing a restaurant, planning vacation, even finding a romantic partner.
Whoa, hold on. AI matchmaker.
Maybe AI could help us make better decisions
Oh,
by understanding our preferences and suggesting things that are most likely to make us happy.
that's a pretty optimistic view of the future.
It is, but are there any downsides to this personalization?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking, could it backfire somehow?
Well, one concern is something called filter bubbles,
Filter bubbles.
where AI only shows us information that confirms our existing beliefs and preferences.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
It could lead to these echo chambers where we're never exposed to new ideas.
So instead of broadening our horizons, AI could actually narrow them.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it highlights why it's so important to develop AI that's transparent,
Okay.
accountable. We need to be able to understand how it makes decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
What data it's using.
So we need to teach AI to think like us, but we also need to teach it to be honest with us about its process.
Transparency is key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What else? Are there any other potential downsides?
Well, we also need to watch out for manipulation. You know,
Cool.
as AI gets better at understanding us, it could be used to exploit our preferences for profit.
Oh, yeah, like that targeted advertising we see everywhere.
Exactly. But on the much more sophisticated level.
Right, right.
We need to be aware of this and develop safeguards to prevent AI from being used in harmful ways.
So it sounds like this research it's opening up a whole can of worms, both good and bad.
It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure.
It is. And it also makes you think about the whole debate about AI consciousness, right? If AI can learn to think like us, even mimic our preferences, does that mean it's becoming conscious? Like, does it have feelings and emotions?
That's a really big philosophical question,
Yeah.
and one that we don't have a clear answer to yet. But this research does suggest that we should be careful about assuming that just because AI acts human-like
Yeah.
means it's experiencing the world the same way we do.
So just because an AI picks the same couch I would, doesn't mean it actually enjoys sitting on it.
Exactly. We shouldn't anthropomorphize AI.
Okay.
And remember, it's still a tool, even though it's incredibly powerful.
And as with any tool,
Yeah,
it's up to us to use it responsibly and ethically.
that's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're creating right now.
With every choice we make, every data set, every preference,
Exactly.
it's an exciting time to be alive, to see all this unfold.
It is.
But it's also a time for us to really think about the role of AI in our lives.
To approach this technology with both enthusiasm and caution,
I like that.
so we can use its power to improve our lives and become better versions of ourselves.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I get it now, how powerful our preferences really are.
Yeah.
Not just for us, but for shaping the future of AI.
It is a fascinating area, and I think it'll have a huge impact on how we interact with technology and with each other.
So as we wrap things up, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about training AI with preferences?
Well, I think that the most important thing to remember is that this future of AI, it's not just happening to us. We're actually creating it.
It's like we're the ones drawing the map, right, of this uncharted territory.
Exactly. And if we want to do it right, we have to remember that AI, even as advanced as it is still a reflection of us, its creators.
It's like a mirror in a way.
It is. It reflects our ingenuity, our creativity,
Yeah.
but also our limitations.
So even with all this preference training, if we're not careful about the data we use, AI could just end up making our biases worse.
That's why this research is so exciting, because it's not just about, boosting AI's IQ. It's about aligning it with our values. By showing AI our preferences, we're kind of giving it a crash course in what we as humans find important.
It's like we're saying, hey, AI, this is what humans care about. Now go out there and use that to make the world a better place.
Of course, it's more complicated than that.
Right.
Human values, they're messy. Sometimes they even clash with each other.
Yeah.
But this research gives us a new way to explore how we can, give AI a sense of what we consider good,
It's almost like we're trying to give AI a conscience.
Yeah,
Help it make decisions that aren't just logical, but also ethical.
exactly. And the more we learn about how our own minds make those judgments,
Yeah.
the better we'll be at guiding AI in a positive direction.
This really shows how this research isn't just about technology, it's about philosophy too.
It is. It really is.
It's making us think hard about what it means to be intelligent, to have values, and ultimately to be human.
It's a journey of understanding ourselves and the incredible potential of what we're creating.
It really is. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm just amazed at how far we've come with AI.
It's remarkable.
But I have this renewed appreciation for the human element.
Yeah.
For how our preferences shape not just our own lives, but the future of intelligence itself.
It's an amazing collaboration, and I think it holds incredible promise for the future.
I think so too. So to our listeners out there, the next time you're making a decision, whether it's a big one or a small one, just take a second to think about what's guiding you, what you're putting first.
Yeah.
Your preferences, they're more powerful than you think. They're shaping the world and maybe even the future of AI.
It's a powerful thought, and I really encourage everyone to keep exploring this intersection of technology and humanity.
Absolutely. And keep diving deep into the things that make you curious.
Yep.
Until next time.